Hey, Shalom, Kahala, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Hakodash, the ones apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to you brothers in the highways and byways doing the works of sincerely and faithfully and continually fighting that good fight of faith. Lord willing, within that number to be delivered. All right, as you see here on the screen, it's from the Insider. It says, say goodbye to paper money. Banks are quietly working to get rid of cash. And this is what has been going on for the past 10 years. It's nothing new. And for the majority of people who are just, walking through this life aimlessly, man, this is probably one of the most exciting times in history, and the mere fact that now we're living to see it unfold is beautiful. All right. But once again, for those who are just walking through this life aimlessly, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening, man. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be a rude awakening for you. Some of you just ain't gonna make it. All right. Now, Esau, what he's been doing, he's been, putting out information. Some of it disinformation, some of it may be true. Some of it may have a little bit of foundation to it. But all in all, we base what we know off the scriptures and not what Esau tells us. All right. But being men of the Lord, we have an unction to know all things anyway. So I'm gonna play a clip concerning Frederick Mertz, and he had made a statement to his colleagues the other day. Now let's just get right to that. Let me play this quick clip right here.
Herren, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen.
Now you're gonna have to read the subtitle, so you may have to pause it. But basically, I'll tell you what he's saying in a nutshell. He said September 24th is going to be a situation where everybody in the world is going to remember where they were on this day, September 24, 2022. So this is basically what he's about to say.
24. September 2022 wird uns allen als ein Tag im Gedächtnis bleiben, von dem wir später einmal sagen werden, ich weiß noch genau, wo ich war.
And some of these leaders, man, they know. They're in the know. They're in the juice. All right. And some of them, they feel guilty because they know whatever's about to take place is going to be real fucking bad. And they can't live with that on their conscience. So they make statements like this. They somewhat, as we say, blow the whistle. Psalm 64:8. It says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Now, if you go back and you listen to what was going on in the background when he was making this statement, people was pretty much talking like, yo, what's going on? What's he talking about? All right, continuing on.
Was doing okay. Yeah, so during the speech with this guy, assuming that I have the date right, I thought he might have been talking about February, because February 24th is when Russia started their special operation against Ukraine. So I thought that might be significant. However, this guy was, before he took over as the opposition leader, took Merkel's job, he was the head of the BlackRock in Germany, if you know what BlackRock is, the investment firm. He's also an opposition to Schultz. They're not on the same page. So, I mean, this guy was the head of BlackRock in Germany. So that makes me think if there is an issue, it's economic collapse. But also, when we talk about the idea of another 9/11, it turns out if you convert September 24th from the Gregorian calendar to the Julian calendar, it's September 11th in the Julian calendar. So this September 24th that he's referring to is going to be it's going to be September 11th in the Julian calendar. So is that significant? I don't know. And then this happened just this September 11th, a couple days ago. Denver Ready gave out free bug out bags as part of their National Preparedness Month. I think there was a little first aid kits and stuff like that. You can look into this, free easy URLs if you need to. They're good. You can look into it, especially if you're in the Denver area. But they gave out bug out bags, which I think is just one more thing to take into account. Also, this is another element to take into account from an economic standpoint. Russia and China this month are going to essentially come out with a new currency that will challenge the reserve currency of the U.S. dollar, in my opinion. The powerhouse economically of those two countries together, I think India is going to be involved in there, Hungary, maybe an African country or two. But remember what they did to Gaddafi what the U.S. did to Gaddafi when he tried to go on the gold standard. So is this a bid to challenge the U.S. dollar? If it is, then we could be looking at a warfare element. Now, about 2 weeks ago, I did this. This is also another economic element, perhaps. The Pope gave a directive to bring all the financial assets abroad back to the Roman Catholic Bank there at the Vatican. And this I looked into, and the deadline for that is September 30th. So there's another economic factor. And Merz, Friedrich Merz, the German leader there, is also a devout Roman Catholic, if I'm not mistaken.
Herren, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen, dieser 24. September 2022 wird uns allen als ein Tag im Gedächtnis bleiben, von dem wir später einmal sagen werden, ich weiß noch genau, wo ich war.
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. Goodbye.
All right, so there you have it. Once again, like I said, we really don't take what Esau says for gold, if you will. Sometimes he throws false flags out there, misinformation, disinformation. So once again, you take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, being watchmen, we throw it out there at you so you can analyze it and see for yourself, come to your own conclusion. But it all makes sense, though. All right? It all makes sense that these countries and these leaders, they try to, at face value, give you the impression that, they're turning one against another. But going back to that summit that I always play at the head of some of my videos, going back to that government council summit, they all was there. They all was there. And in order for this thing to be set up the way it's going to be set up through the Spirit of the Lord, this MOTB, these kings of the earth have to be on board, have to be on the same page, have to be. And the Lord's going to make them be on the same page. Okay? And that's just the way it goes. But to say something's about to pop off on the 24th, is it true? Do we know for a fact? No, we don't. But you've been admonished about it. So if something does take place, you should be in the know. You should be in the circle. And know how to navigate through once all hell starts breaking loose, if it does. Okay? Now, let me get this. So Russia and China have been teaming up. And at the end of the day, what they're going to do is ultimately cut out the middleman. Okay? It says the Chinese RMB yuan has become Russia's reserve currency. This is what it means. All right? It has become Russia reserve currency. Because of the dollar, as it is the reserve currency, has no value. Okay? Read a little bit of this article. Last year, prior to the Ukraine conflict, the demand for the Chinese RMB yuan on Moscow's exchange was rather muted, utilized mainly by small traders involved in cross-border transactions themselves, still recovering after lengthy shutdowns on the Russian-China border due to strict COVID regulations. Okay? So it's happening, and they have been in the works and putting this in the works for many years. It says by July this year, it is transformed to become the third most demand foreign currency in Russia after the US dollar and the euro. Moscow's exchange now trades close to 890 billion rubles, 14 billion US, and RMB yuan only slightly behind the volume of euros trading in Moscow exchange at 1 trillion rubles, US 16.5 billion. Okay, so the US dollar is absolutely suspect right now. Okay, and getting worse. But once again, they're slowly putting you in the chokehold, and you people don't even see it, man. They're smacking you in your face and telling you, we're about to do something. If you ain't prepared, that's your ass. Okay? That's going to be your ass. That's it on that. I'm not going to go too far on that. That's it on that. What I'll do is I'll put the link in the description box on this one. 2nd Ezra 16 and 74. It says, Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. All right? The days of trouble are at hand. You can't push this off any further. You gotta start taking heed. You gotta start understanding and believing that what the servants of the Lord are saying from the head apostles on down is true, man. These things that we speak are true. Esau knows it. The heathens know it. All this crafty counsel, they know it. But once again, the American people walk around with so much pride, they don't believe any shit like this is ever going to take place here. And you devils going to get it bad too, because it's your own government. It's going to be your own government that bamboozle you. Okay? Let me go back here. There was another video that I wanted to. Was this Carlson Tucker? Yeah, let me play the beginning of this one here.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Imagine dystopia. You hear that word frequently. What does it mean? Picture it in your mind's eye. Dystopia is a world where the police will not protect you. They refuse. And at the same time, you are not allowed to protect yourself. So who does that leave in charge? Who runs a world like that? Well, young men with guns. They're in charge. The cruelest and most violent element of any society. The people with the least to lose. The shortest time horizons. The shallowest reservoirs of impulse control. People like that have all the power. You have no power. And that means that everything you have is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end of civilization. It exists in pockets around the world, Mogadishu famously. But if you think it's confined to Mogadishu, you haven't been to Chicago lately. This past Friday, just before noon, a 30-year-old man called Ryan King walked out of a gym in Chicago's Bucktown neighborhood. Bucktown is a former Polish enclave just west of Lincoln Park. That's one of the nicest parts of the city. Real estate websites describe Bucktown as young and hip, a place where recent college graduates who can pay above average rents might live. It's where your kids might live with their friends as they start their first jobs. And that's how most people think of Bucktown, people who haven't been there recently. But local news accounts suggest a very different reality. Shots fired during Bucktown robbery. Man shot during robbery attempt in Bucktown. Bucktown couple shares account of armed robbery, and so on and on. Many stories like this. Ryan King probably wasn't thinking of armed robbery as he walked out of the gym on Friday. It was broad daylight. It was a weekday. But then a car pulled up right next to him. 3 young men jumped out and stuck a gun in his face. Here's an account from a local Fox station in Chicago.
Ryan King turned into an alley near the corner of Wabansia and Oakley to get back to his mother's apartment when a dark-colored vehicle pulls up and 3 young men jump out. King says one of them pointed a gun right in his face, demanding his wallet, and moments later, he says a passerby saw the mugging unfolding and yelled. Instincts and his martial arts training kicked in, and that's when King hit one of the men with an elbow and ran off.
Again, broad daylight, middle of the day, nice neighborhood in one of America's biggest cities. So what happened next? Well, according to reporting by CWB Chicago, just minutes after Ryan King was threatened with death for daring to walk outside in his own neighborhood, Chicago police spotted the gunman's vehicle, but there was nothing they could do about it. Their supervisor ordered them not to pursue it. So the criminals just drove off, and of course they committed more violent crimes. In the hours after Ryan King was attacked, 16 more armed robberies were reported in the area. Police believe at least 2 organized armed gangs are now operating with impunity around Bucktown, which means the gangs are in charge now.
So there you have it, man. It's it's gonna go down out here. Nobody's gonna be safe. Nobody. All right. It's already wild over there in Chicago, man. I take my hat off to them brothers over there in the spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, who are out there doing the work in Chicago. All right. It's getting wild out here. But this is once again the breakdown of civilization. This is the breakdown of Babylon the Great. All right. And there's not going to be any stopping it. You know, and it's going to be mass death, hunger, disease. And when this dollar collapse, then you're really going to see the real evil that's going to be brought forth amongst the people. As the scripture says, the love of many is going to wax cold. And we coming upon those times. All right. So I'm going to end it with that. Lord willing, I'll see you brothers in another show. I say shalom.